Hi there. In this video I'm going to address a question that was posted in the comment section in a previous video earlier this week. Specifically, how does one stop further bets being submitted in an automated or repeating bet sequence when the green up all button is manually pressed? There's a couple of things that we'll want to look at, and ideally this would be looked at from a automation point of view, but it can occur as in manual mode as well, specifically if one is using the trading and repeat count or repeat on success facilities. The first thing to check in actual fact is your settings within the option dialog box. If you go up to tools and click on options and then greening up, make sure that these two options are ticked. This refers to the green up all button, which lives here when you have an open position, and any buttons listed down here assigned to a horse or runner that has an open position within the market. So anytime you click on one of the buttons here for a specific runner, this option here will make sure that any unmatched or pending bets on that horse are cancelled. And similarly, the second option here refers to you clicking on the green up all button, which lives up here. It will cancel any unmatched or pending bets within the market, irrespective of the runner that they are attached to. So make sure those are switched on. First of all, I'm going to demonstrate it manually because this thing can affect the repeat on success option. So we're going to do a basic in-running scalping trial. We'll set repeat on success to something silly at 10, and we'll wait for this race to go in running. Now, essentially what happens is, if you're not familiar with repeat on success, whenever you put a bet into the market using these trading functions here, if that trade is successfully completed and repeat on success is switched on, it will loop round and submit that trade again, and it will keep doing so that number of times that you specify in this box. Now, if you click on the green up all button whilst that looping process is in play, you may find that a repeat on success loop is still entered into the market, and it really all depends on the timing between you clicking on your green up all button and the repeat on success loop firing in a new bet. And this is particularly prevalent when you're doing things in play because of the delay that appears in the in-play markets. You may find that when you click on the green up all button, a bet has already just been submitted by Fairbot as part of the repeat on success process, and you won't actually see that. So the green up all will appear to work, and then all of a sudden another bet will appear as part of the repeat on success. So you may find yourself in manual mode specifically having to either click on green up all a couple of times, or perhaps clicking on the cancel all bets button here to initially cancel what's there, and then click on the green up all button. So we're going to do a basic in-play, in-running scalping sequence of bets on this market to see if we can demonstrate that. It's a bit of a hit or miss, to be perfectly honest, because as I say, it's totally dependent on the timing between clicking on the green up all and Fairbot submitting the repeat on success bets. The only way to stop it when you're doing it manually, though, is to either click on the green up all option 2 or 3 times, or use the cancel all button to make sure everything's cancelled prior to clicking on the green up all. So I'll just wait for this race to go and play, and I'll submit the bets.
This market is now in play.
Okay, here we go. So I'll just rattle in a few bets in here, just like the in-play scalping technique. And we'll let this rattle through, and you'll see that as these lays get cleared, the corresponding back bit appears. And once that's cleared, you'll get further lays going in. Now, as I say, we may find that the green up all will work quite happily. It totally depends on whether Fairbot preempts that as part of the repeat on success option. So I'm going to wait till it gets a little bit closer to the business end, and we've got a mix of lays and backs to go in. Okay, there's quite a few in there. So at this point, halfway through the race, you're probably tempted, right, I need to get out. We're losing £18. So let's just click on that and try and green up. And that, it's typical, as I said, it's hard to actually do this as a demonstration because it is fairly random. So in that particular case, the green up all option worked, fairly typical. But keep in mind, if that happens, you may find yourself having to click on cancel all or on the green up all button once again. So I wasn't able to demonstrate exactly what was happening in manual mode, but it will occur if you do this enough times. So let's move on to automation instead. We skip to the next race. I've actually already set up a basic automation rule, which essentially duplicates what we've just done in the last one. I'll do an in-play scalping on this race. So all we need to do is to assign it to this race, and I'll skip ahead when the race starts. Just before this race starts, let me real quickly run through what the initial part of the automation is doing. For each runner in the market, it will monitor the price, and if that price is lower or equal to 20, it will place a late back scalp for 2 ticks. So essentially it's doing the similar type of thing as it is here. So you can see, based on the odds of this particular market, the vast majority of these runners will not have any bets placed on them. However, if any of these drop down, one of these will start. Now, once one of these lays to backs has been placed, it's also configured to repeat on success 10 times. So it will carry on looping through if the conditions are suitable. So you may find in this case that if I was to cancel the green up all button at some stage during this race, and one of these horses came in later on in the race, one of these rules might fire, and you may find that you get bets starting to come into the market. That's what we're hoping for the demonstration. Hopefully this demonstration for this race will be a little bit more successful than what I was trying to show you with the manual version. Okay, so we've got a minute and a half to go. We'll wait till we're in running. Okay, we're off and running, and what we should find is the first few in the market will start having bets placed on them. That's the trades just going in just now, as you can see by the executed options. And as each of these trades is closed off successfully, they'll start to loop round. As you can see here. So once again, what I'll do is I'll just wait till halfway and we'll close out. But hopefully one of these will start to come down below 20 in odds. And what you'll end up finding is those bets still go in even though we've greened up. Now, because I'm using repeat on success, we may actually find the same issue I was telling you about before. Okay, so that's a successfully greened out, but if any of these were to come in, if I switch back to the automation tab here, you'll see that these ones here haven't been executed yet. So if their respective price was to come down again to below the 20 mark, those rules would fire. So you might walk away thinking you've greened up successfully, but in actual fact, you could be stung right at the very end by one of these runners coming in. So you have to be aware of that. So again, that demonstration wasn't conclusive simply because the green up process worked okay. And that's in the nature of this particular issue. If you were to do this over a number of races, you will start to see occasionally bets getting put into the market after you've greened up. There's another repeat mechanism that you can use rather than using repeat on success. You can also use the repeat execution option, and that is where, if you recall on the rules editor, you can specify how many times this rule is going to execute. So in this case, it's going to execute 10 times, and each time it's going to wait 10 seconds. So it will execute one, wait 10 seconds, execute it again, irrespective of, in this case, whether the first the first trade has been completed. So I've configured this again with a lay to back scalp, but I haven't configured repeat on success. And unlike repeat on success, this one will put in up to 10 lay to back trades without waiting for the previous one to be completed. So that's a major difference. But again, this is a technique, depending on what you're trying to do in any specific market, this is a very useful technique that you can use. So we'll move on to the next race, and let's see this one in action when you click on the green up all button. Right, we're off and running at Newcastle, and in just a few seconds you should start seeing all these rules being executed, one after the other, as they're all being put in, obviously depending on the odds here. And then a few seconds later, another 10 seconds later, you'll see that they are starting to go in again. So those rules will continue to go in every 10 seconds. So that's 3 rounds we've had so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to green up halfway through. Right, so that's all those going in again. If I click on there, you'll see these are still looping through. Okay, those have gone up to 6. As long as the odds are still under 20, they will keep on looping through. So it doesn't matter how many times I click on this green up button. If these executions still have a number of rounds to go, they will still fire in, assuming that they meet the condition here that I've specified, with the lay price being under 20. Okay, so you need to be able to have a mechanism that will stop all those, although the first 2 examples weren't conclusive simply because of the issue with the repeat on success. As I was describing, it's purely down to the timing between you hitting the green up button and Fairbot submitting another part of the repeat on success loop. If you do it over enough races, you will see it putting in further bets. So anyway, how do we sort that? Well, the easiest way is to use a technique that you've seen me use lots of times in other videos. Simply put in a small control bet. So we place a small control bet just before the off. The action will be place a bet. We put it on Betfair row descending, so that'll allow us to select the outsider. It's going to be a lay bet. It's going to be at fixed odds of 1.01, and the amount will be for a penny, and that's going to be the liability. So the actual stake will be £1, and we have to set that as keep. There's no other conditions required for this, and we can just choose OK. So all we need to do now in these two rules is to edit those and specify in the conditions we need to check for the presence of a lay bet, an unmatched lay bet, sitting in the market at odds of 1.01. Okay, so the number of bets is equal to 1. It's a lay, it's unmatched, and it has odds of 1.01. Now what this means is that these rules here not only have to be below the 20% odds before a bet's placed, that lay also has to exist unmatched in the market. Now the reason I put it on the outsider is that there's only a very small chance of that lay bet being matched. Now yes, of course the outsider could come in to win, and that bet will be matched. However, that's a relatively rare occurrence, and it's likely to happen fairly late on in the race, which by that time you more than likely have greened up anyway. So we place that in to each rule that we want to stop once we click on the green up all button. And the reason for that is that when we do click on the green up all button, as you saw earlier on, if you have these settings specified, that will automatically cancel. Whenever you click on that green up all button, it will cancel that 1.01 lay bet. And since that bet will no longer exist in the market as an unmatched bet, these things will not fire. Okay, so that's the plan. So we'll skip ahead to the next race and see how we go on. Okay, off and running at Kempton now, and the bets will start going in now. So every 10 seconds you'll see these things loop around. Obviously that one didn't go in because its odds are too high. As it's going round for the second time. I'll let it go round a third time. There we go. We'll see how the bets are. And now if I just green out or red out, whatever, I'll let it go around one more loop. Okay, we'll just green out. And we shouldn't see any more of those bets going in now. If I just switch back to the automation tab, you'll see that because it's 0, none of these bets can fire again. None of these rules, I should say. So that's how you do it. You put in a controlling bet for a very small amount of money, a penny bet, a lay bet preferably. And all you do then is in each rule, you get it to check that bet exists in the market as an unmatched bet. And if it does, that rule is safe to execute. If it doesn't, the rule shouldn't fire. Now the only thing, of course, that you need to watch, because that bet needs to be sitting in the market as an unmatched bet, be careful you don't inadvertently cancel it via some other means, for example, another rule acting on it, and so on. But as you can see, it's a fairly simple process to do, and that way you should be able to control any repeating bets that you have configured within the market. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.